Hey guys, tonight we're diving deep into the story of an empress you've probably never heard of, but whose life story is more gripping than most TV dramas. We're going to travel back 1,000 years to the Song dynasty in China, to a world of silk robes, palace intrigue, and a young woman who clawed her way from the dusty streets to the Dragon Throne's shadow. Imagine the quiet hum of the night as we unravel the legend of a girl who had nothing, and then almost had it all. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as you settle in, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It's always a quiet thrill to know we're sharing this story across so many different corners of the world, all at the same time. The orphan from Shu. You don't remember your parents. You don't even remember your real name. All you know is the name everyone calls you, Liu Yi. Your world is the bustling, humid city of Chengdu, the heart of the region known as Shu. It's a place famous for its brocades and its leisurely pace of life, but for an orphan like you, life is anything but leisurely. Your earliest memories are a collage of colors, sounds, and smells from the marketplace. The vibrant dyes of silk, the sizzle of street food, the scent of Sichuan peppers hanging in the air, and the constant, rhythmic sound of your own small hand drum, the Bo Lang Gu. This little drum, with its painted skin and pellet strikers, is your livelihood. You are a street performer, a songstress. Your voice, clear and carrying a hint of the melancholy of your homeland, tells tales of ancient heroes and forlorn lovers. You sing, you play the drum, and you hope the copper coins that land in your small basket are enough to buy a steamed bun for dinner. You're good at what you do. You have a performer's instinct, knowing just how to catch the eye of a passing merchant or a scholar, how to hold their attention with a turn of a phrase or a sorrowful note. You're barely a teenager when you meet a local silversmith named Gong Mai. He's not a prince, not a hero, just a craftsman trying to make a living. He's drawn to your spirit, your resilience. You see in him a chance for something more stable than the streets. So, you join your life with his. It's less a story of romance and more a partnership of survival. But Gong Mai's ambitions are bigger than his skills, and soon, debts begin to pile up like dust in the corner of his workshop. The silver he works with seems to slip through his fingers, leaving you both with less and less. It's his idea to go to the capital, Kaifeng. The name itself sounds like a promise. It's the biggest city in the world at this time, a sprawling metropolis of over 1 million souls. We know what it looked like thanks to the famous scroll painting along the river during the Qingming festival, which depicts its chaotic, vibrant energy. For a craftsman like Gong Mai, he imagines it as a place of endless opportunity. For you, it's a terrifying gamble. It means leaving the only home you've ever known, the familiar sounds and smells of Shu, for a place where you are a complete stranger. The journey is long and arduous. You travel by foot, by cart, across rivers and through mountains. The soft dialect of Shu slowly gives way to the sharper tones of the Central Plains. When you finally arrive in Kaifeng, it's everything you feared and more. The city is a roaring beast. The sheer number of people, the height of the buildings, the wealth on display, it's overwhelming. Your little drum and your sad songs, which seemed so special in Chengdu, feel small and insignificant here. Gong Mai's dream of striking it rich quickly evaporates. The competition is fierce, and his craft is not unique enough to stand out. The capital chews up and spits out hopefuls like him every single day. Your savings dwindle. The dread of true homelessness, of starving on these unfamiliar streets, becomes a cold, hard knot in your stomach. It is here, at your lowest point, that Gong Mai makes a decision born of pure desperation. He can't support you. So, he decides to find someone who can. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? To sell the woman who is essentially your wife. But in an age of famine and hardship, such transactions were a grim reality. Historians still debate the exact nature of this arrangement. Was it a cold sale, or was Gong Mai acting as a broker, trying to find you a better placement in a wealthy household? Whatever the truth, he begins asking around, promoting your beauty, your voice, and your cleverness. Your fate takes a turn when one of the men he speaks to is an aide to a prince. Not just any prince, but the third son of the emperor, Prince Zhao Heng. The aide, intrigued by the description of a girl from Shu with a captivating voice and beauty, arranges a meeting. You are brought to the prince's residence, a place far grander than anything you have ever imagined. You, in your simple, worn clothes, must feel like a stray sparrow in a phoenix's nest. You are led through gardens and corridors, your heart pounding a rhythm much faster than your little drum ever could. And then, you see him. Zhao Heng. He's young, thoughtful, and carries an air of quiet authority. He asks you to sing. You take a breath, the air thick with the scent of expensive incense, and you sing. You sing the songs of your homeland, the stories that are etched into your soul. You tell him of your life on the streets of Shu, of the long road to the capital. You don't put on an act, you simply are yourself. He listens, completely captivated. It's not just your beauty that strikes him, nor just the sweetness of your voice. It's your story. It's the intelligence in your eyes, the mix of vulnerability and unbroken spirit that you carry. In a world of carefully cultivated court ladies, you are something entirely new, something real. For the prince, who has lived his entire life in a gilded cage, you are a breath of fresh, wild air. And in that moment, as your song ends and silence hangs in the opulent room, a silent connection is forged. Your life as a street performer is over. A new, far more dangerous, and infinitely more complicated life is just beginning. A prince's secret love. That first meeting stretches into days, then weeks. You are the prince's treasured secret, living within the walls of his opulent residence. For the first time in your life, you are surrounded by silk instead of straw, by the scent of rare blossoms instead of street dust. Servants attend to you, bringing you meals you could once only dream of and robes that feel like water against your skin. The prince, Zhao Heng, is utterly enchanted by you. He spends his free hours in your company, listening to your songs, talking to you about his studies, his ambitions, his frustrations with court life. He finds your perspective, born from a life so different from his own, to be a source of endless fascination. You are not just a beautiful woman, you are his confidant, but you are a secret, a delicious, dangerous secret. When court officials or other members of the imperial family visit, you must disappear, hidden away in a secluded courtyard, silent as a shadow. You are a ghost in this grand house, and your existence is a political risk. And soon, the risk becomes a reality. The news of your existence inevitably trickles up to the one person Zhao Heng fears, his father, the Emperor Taizong. The Emperor is furious. In his eyes, you are everything a proper consort should not be. You have no family name to speak of, no noble blood. You are a street performer, a commoner from a distant province. He sees you as a seductive distraction, a potential source of disgrace for the imperial family. He orders Zhao Heng to cast you out immediately. The command is absolute. For the prince, this is the ultimate test. To defy his father means risking his favor, his future, even his position. To obey means losing you. You brace yourself for the inevitable, for the return to the cold streets of Kaifeng, a fate that now seems 100 times crueler after tasting this life of comfort. But Zhao Heng does something unexpected. He bows to his father's will, publicly. He agrees to send you away. But privately, he makes a pact with you and his most trusted commander, a man named Zhong Qi. He will not abandon you. He will simply hide you better. And so begins your life in hiding. You are spirited away from the prince's residence and taken to Zhong Qi's home. It's a comfortable house, the home of a high-ranking military officer, but it is not a palace. It is your gilded cage. For the next 15 years, this is your world. You are not to leave the house. Very few people are to know of your existence. You are once again a ghost, but this time you are haunting the life of a court official, waiting. 15 years is a long time to wait. It's a long time to place your entire future in the hands of one man's promise. Seasons change outside your window. The world moves on. Princes and ministers rise and fall. But your life is a constant, quiet hum of waiting. You watch Zhongqi's children grow up. You hear snippets of news from the capital, always wondering how they affect the prince, how they affect you. But you do not simply wait. You learn. This period of forced seclusion becomes your university. You have access to Zhongqi's library, a treasure trove of classics, histories, and poetry. You read voraciously. You practice your calligraphy. You listen to the political talk that filters through the house, piecing together the complex web of power at the imperial court. You had the raw intelligence of a survivor. Now, you are forging it into the refined steel of a court insider. Historians still debate just how formal your education was during this time, whether the prince arranged for tutors to secretly visit you, or if you were entirely self-taught. But what is certain is that the girl who entered Zhongqi's house was not the same woman who would one day leave it. You were transforming, sharpening your mind into your greatest weapon. Every so often, Zhao Hang, risking his father's wrath, visits you in secret. These clandestine meetings are your lifeline, reaffirming that you have not been forgotten. He sees your transformation, your growing knowledge and wisdom, and his love for you deepens into a profound respect. You are no longer just the beautiful singer from Shu. You are his partner, his secret advisor, the one person he can trust implicitly. Still, the years are heavy. There are moments of doubt, of despair. You are a woman in your prime, living in the shadows, your fate entirely dependent on the health of an old emperor who doesn't even know you're still in the capital. But your patience is as deep as a well. You have learned from the streets that survival belongs to those who can endure. And so you endure. Then one day, the news arrives, quiet and world-shattering. The old emperor has died. Your prince, Zhao Hang, is to ascend the dragon throne. He is now Emperor Zhenzong. The door to your cage has just swung open. A son not born to her. The moment Emperor Zhenzong takes the throne, he calls for you. After 15 years in the shadows, you are finally brought into the light, stepping directly into the breathtaking grandeur and suffocating protocol of the imperial palace. The Forbidden City. It makes the prince's residence you once knew look like a humble cottage. But you are not a frightened girl anymore. You are a woman of 30, poised, elegant, and armed with a deep understanding of the world you are about to enter. You are given a title, but it's a modest one. You are just one of the many women in the imperial harem. But you have an advantage that none of them possess, a 15-year history of shared struggle and deep intimacy with the emperor. While other consorts try to win his favor with beauty and flattery, you engage his mind. You discuss matters of state with him, offering insights that are both sharp and compassionate. He comes to rely on you, not just for comfort, but for counsel. Your influence grows quietly, but steadily. However, in the world of the imperial harem, there is one currency that trumps all others: a son. This is a fundamental reality of the dynasty. A son secures a woman's position, guarantees her future, and provides a successor for the empire. And it is the one thing you cannot seem to provide. Years begin to pass. Other consorts give birth. The emperor is growing older. The court officials are growing anxious. And you remain childless. Your primary rival is the reigning Empress Guo. She is from a distinguished military family, the perfect choice for an empress in the eyes of the court. She is virtuous and respected, but she and the emperor share a polite distance, not the deep bond you have with him. Then, fate intervenes. After several years on the throne, Empress Guo dies. A power vacuum opens up, and everyone knows the emperor wants to fill it with you. For him, it's the fulfillment of a decades-long promise. For you, it is the culmination of your entire life's journey. But the court erupts in protest. The ministers, the scholars, the imperial clan, they are horrified. They bring up your past, your humble origins as a street performer, your time as a merchant's companion. They argue that elevating you would be a stain on the imperial line. But their most powerful argument is your childlessness. An empress who cannot produce an heir is, in their view, unacceptable. The emperor fights for you, but the wall of opposition is formidable. You see his frustration, and you know that love alone cannot conquer tradition and politics. You need a son. If you cannot have one yourself, then you must find one. It is a cold, hard calculation, born of desperation and brilliant political instinct. Your gaze falls upon a servant in your household, a quiet and unassuming woman known as Lady Li. She had been one of Empress Guo's attendants. She catches the emperor's eye, and soon, she is with child. Here, the historical record becomes a whisper, and we are left to read between the lines. What is clear is that a plan was hatched, a conspiracy of three: you, the emperor, and the pregnant Lady Li. You begin to feign the symptoms of pregnancy. Meanwhile, Lady Li is kept in complete seclusion, her condition a state secret. You are the center of attention, receiving the congratulations of the court, while she carries the future of the empire in silence. It's a daring, audacious lie, played out on the grandest stage in the world. When Lady Li finally goes into labor, she is hidden away. She gives birth to a healthy baby boy. That child is immediately taken from her arms and brought to you. To the rest of the world, it appears that you, Consort Liu, have miraculously given birth to the emperor's son. The child is named Zhao Zhan. Lady Li is silenced with promotions and wealth, but is warned never to speak of it. She remains in the palace, able to see her biological son every day, but only as his mother's humble attendant. With a son, the crown prince, in your arms, the opposition from the court crumbles. You have fulfilled the most crucial duty of a royal consort. You have provided an heir. Your low birth is now a footnote, eclipsed by your new status as the mother of the future emperor. In the year 1012, with the unwavering support of the emperor, you are officially invested as the Empress of the Great Song. You kneel before the ancestral tablets, a former street singer now the official mother of the nation, your journey from the gutter to the throne's highest step finally complete. You have won. From Empress to Regent. You've won, but you know that winning a title and keeping power are two very different games. As Empress, you are now a public figure, your every move scrutinized. You carry yourself with a quiet dignity that silences many of your former critics. You are no longer just the emperor's favored consort. You are his indispensable partner. He discusses everything with you, from border disputes in the north to the appointment of ministers. In private audiences, he often has you sit behind a screen, listening to the debates, and asks for your opinion afterward. You are learning to rule, not from a book, but in practice, with the entire empire as your classroom. But as your political skill grows, the emperor's health begins to fail. His mind, once sharp, becomes clouded. He grows obsessed with Taoist mysticism, claiming to receive celestial revelations and divine texts from heaven. This leads to one of the most extravagant and controversial projects of his reign, the Feng and Shan sacrifices. These were ancient, incredibly sacred mountain rituals that were supposed to be performed only by the greatest of emperors to honor heaven and earth. They were also ruinously expensive, involving a massive entourage, the construction of temples, and lavish ceremonies. The treasury groans under the weight of his obsession, and the court officials are deeply uneasy. You watch this with a growing sense of alarm. You see the man you love, the brilliant prince who hid you away for love, slowly drifting away, lost in a fog of visions and grandiosity. But you also see a political crisis brewing. His erratic behavior threatens to destabilize the empire he fought so hard to secure. Your role begins to shift. You are no longer just his partner. You are becoming his anchor to reality, the quiet manager cleaning up his messes, soothing ruffled ministers, and ensuring the actual business of government continues while he chases phantoms. You do this subtly, carefully. You never openly contradict him. Instead, you use your influence to promote competent and pragmatic officials who can temper his worst impulses. You become the gatekeeper, the steady hand on the tiller, guiding the ship of state through the storm of the emperor's declining health. It's a delicate, exhausting balancing act. He knows what's happening. In his moments of clarity, he sees his own weakness and recognizes your strength. He knows the empire will need you when he is gone. His son, the Crown Prince Zhao Zhen, is still just a child. A boy on the dragon throne needs a steady hand to guide him, and the emperor trusts no one but you. So, he begins to make preparations. He starts bringing you out from behind the screen. He issues edicts that all important matters of state must be presented to you for final approval. He is slowly, deliberately, and publicly transferring his authority into your hands. This is a radical move. It goes against 1,000 years of tradition. The court is buzzing. The whispers about you becoming a second Wu Zetian, the only woman to ever rule China as a full-fledged emperor, grow louder. But the emperor persists. He is paving the way for you, building a bridge of legitimacy that will allow you to cross from empress consort to ruler in your own right. Then, he falls gravely ill. He knows the end is near. He gathers his most trusted grand counselors to his bedside. He dictates his final will and testament, and its central clause is unambiguous. Upon his death, you, the Empress, will become regent. You will hold all imperial power, ruling on behalf of your young son until he comes of age. He makes the ministers swear an oath to uphold his will and to serve you as they would serve him. A few days later, he is gone. The man who plucked you from obscurity, who hid you, who loved you, who made you an empress, is dead. There is no time for grief. The palace is a vacuum of power, and you are at its center. The child emperor, Zhao Zhen, your son, sits on the throne, weeping for the father he knew. You walk up to the dais, take your position behind the young boy, and a silken yellow screen is lowered in front of you. The era of Emperor Zhenzong is over. The era of Empress Liu has officially begun. You are now the ruler of the great Song Empire, from behind a curtain of silk. The shadow ruler's wisdom. The screen in front of you is a symbol. It is a concession to tradition, a veil that preserves the fiction that a man, albeit a child, sits on the throne. But everyone in the grand hall, from the highest minister to the lowest scribe, knows where the real power now resides. It resides with you. Memorials and petitions are read aloud by eunuchs, their voices echoing in the vast chamber. You listen, your face unseen, your thoughts unreadable. When the reading is done, a profound silence falls as the entire court waits for a decision to emerge from behind the silk. Your first challenge is the mess the late emperor left behind. His mystical pursuits and grand ceremonies drained the treasury. The court was filled with Taoist sycophants and opportunistic officials he had promoted in his final years. You begin to clean house, but you do it with surgical precision, not a butcher's axe. You don't engage in vindictive purges. Instead, you calmly and methodically demote or reassign the unqualified, and elevate the sober, experienced Confucian scholar officials who had been sidelined. You signal a return to pragmatic, sensible governance. The court breathes a collective sigh of relief. Your days are a relentless parade of decisions. A drought in the south? You approve the release of grain from the state granaries and order tax relief for the affected prefectures. A dispute on the northern border? You consult with veteran generals and seasoned diplomats before issuing your commands. But your greatest test is the economy. The state is running out of money. It is here that you make one of your most lasting contributions. For a while now, merchants in your home province of Shu had been using something called jiaozi, a kind of private promissory note, to make trade easier. It was a good idea, but prone to fraud. You see its potential. With your approval, the government takes over the system, issuing the world's first government-backed, officially printed paper money. It's a revolutionary step that helps to stabilize the economy and fuel commerce. You live a life of disciplined frugality, a stark contrast to the extravagance of your late husband. You wear simple robes, your meals are modest, and you reject proposals for expensive palace renovations. You are sending a clear message from behind your screen: the age of waste is over. You lead by example, and your personal austerity earns you the respect of even your harshest critics. You are firm, but not cruel. You are decisive, but you listen to advice. You prove to the male-dominated court that wisdom and competence have no gender. For over a decade, you rule the empire, and it prospers. It is a period of peace and stability, known to historians as a time of benevolent rule. You manage the complex bureaucracy, balance the budget, and keep the empire's borders secure. You are, in everything but name, the emperor. You even perform the sacred imperial plowing ceremony, a rite traditionally reserved for the Son of Heaven, where the ruler plows the first furrow of the season to ensure a good harvest. You do it in the name of the young emperor, of course, but everyone understands the symbolism. You are the provider for the nation. But as the years pass, the boy on the throne is no longer a boy. Zhao Zhan is growing into a young man. He sits through the court audiences, listening to the decisions being made by the voice behind his head. He is your son, the one you raised, but there is a quiet tension building, a silent tug-of-war that no one dares to acknowledge. He is the rightful emperor, and you are the regent who holds all the power. And you both know that this arrangement cannot last forever. The temptation of the dragon robe. You are at the apex. For more than a decade, you have steered the ship of state with a steady hand. The empire is peaceful, the granaries are full, and the government runs with an efficiency it hadn't known in years. From behind your silken screen, your word is law. You have proven yourself to be a ruler of immense talent, far more capable than many of the men who came before you. And you know it. The deference of the court, the prosperity of the land, the quiet obedience of the bureaucracy, it is all a testament to your wisdom. The girl who once played a drum on a dusty street for copper coins now commands millions. It is at this zenith of your power that the whispers find their sharpest edge. They call you the second Wu Zetian. For most of history, this wasn't a compliment. Wu Zetian was the one and only woman who broke through every barrier, who cast aside the pretense of a screen and a puppet emperor, and declared her own dynasty. She was brilliant, she was ruthless, and she took the final step that no woman before or since had dared. The ministers who mutter this comparison in the corridors of power are not admiring your skill. They are accusing you of ambition. They are watching your every move, waiting for you to reveal that this is what you've wanted all along, not just to rule for your son, but to rule as the Son of Heaven. And you, in the quiet of your own chambers, perhaps ask yourself the same question. Haven't you earned it? You've performed the duties, shouldered the burdens, and achieved the results. Why shouldn't you have the title? Why should you, the architect of this prosperity, forever hide behind a screen while a young man who has never had to make a hard decision in his life holds the ultimate title? The temptation is a quiet, seductive poison. This inner conflict and outer pressure culminate in a single, symbolic act. You announce your intention to wear the imperial dragon robe and ceremonial cap to perform the ancestral worship ceremony at the Great Temple. This is not just a dress code violation. It is a political earthquake. The gunmian, the 12-tasseled crown and robe embroidered with the imperial dragons, is the ultimate symbol of sovereignty. It is for the emperor and the emperor alone. For a woman, a regent, to wear it is a clear declaration of intent. It is one step away from proclaiming yourself emperor. The court explodes. Your most loyal ministers, the ones you promoted, the ones who have admired your governance for years, now kneel before you, begging you to reconsider. They are terrified. They argue it will destabilize the realm, that it violates 1,000 years of sacred ritual, that it will be a permanent stain on your legacy. This is the line. You have pushed your power as far as it can go, and you have finally met a wall of resistance that even you cannot easily break. Historians today still fiercely debate your motives. Were you genuinely planning a usurpation, using the robe to test the court's loyalty before taking the throne? Or was it a more calculated political move, a way to assert your absolute authority as regent, to remind everyone, especially your now adult son, that you were still the ultimate power in the land? Or perhaps, after a lifetime of being treated as less than, you simply wanted, just once, to wear the uniform that you had more than earned. You are in a standoff with your own government. The pressure is immense. In the end, a compromise is reached, a solution of pure political genius. You will not wear the emperor's full regalia, but you will not wear the robes of an empress either. You commission the creation of a new robe, one modeled on the emperor's, but with certain symbols subtly altered. The dragons are there, but perhaps with fewer claws. The tassels on the crown are reduced. It is a robe that screams emperor to all who see it, but allows your ministers the plausible deniability of knowing it is not the robe. On the day of the ceremony, you ascend to the altar, clad in your custom-made regalia. You stand as the embodiment of imperial power, having faced down your entire court and bent them to your will. You have asserted your authority in the most dramatic way possible, but you have also learned where the boundary lies. You did not take the final step. As you perform the rites, you can feel the eyes of your son, Emperor Zhenzong, on your back. He is no longer a boy. He is a man who has just watched his mother challenge the very foundations of his throne, and he has seen the entire court tremble. The silent battle is about to begin. A mother and son's silent battle. The grand ceremony is over, but the echo of your actions reverberates through the palace. The compromise of the robe was a victory, but a costly one. It has awakened your son. The young man who used to sit meekly on the throne, a silent participant in your regency, now watches you with a new look in his eyes. It's a mixture of filial duty, quiet resentment, and a dawning awareness of his own position. He is the emperor, and he is beginning to want to be the emperor. The war between you is never declared. It is a conflict fought in the silent, suffocating etiquette of the court. It is a war of whispers, of alliances, of subtle gestures. He begins to cultivate his own circle of supporters, primarily younger officials who see their future path to power through him, not you. When you discuss a candidate for a provincial governorship, he will, for the first time, quietly suggest an alternative name. He doesn't press the point, but the challenge hangs in the air. He is testing the limits of his own influence, just as you once tested yours. Your dilemma is agonizing. You have raised this boy. On some level, you love him as a son. But he is also your political rival, the only person who can legally strip you of your power. You tell yourself, and your allies, that you are holding on to the regency for his own good, that he is not yet ready. Is he truly not ready, or are you simply not ready to let go? The power you have wielded for so long has become a part of you. To give it up feels like a kind of death. It's around this time that the deadliest secret of your life begins to feel like a liability. The matter of your son's birth. You notice that Emperor Zhenzong has started showing unusual favor to members of the Li clan, the family of his biological mother, the humble servant who he believes is merely a quiet attendant in the palace. Is it a coincidence? Or has someone whispered the truth in his ear? A faction of your political opponents, desperate to unseat you, has been looking for a weapon. And there is no greater weapon than the revelation that you are not his mother, that your entire claim to the position of Empress Dowager is built on a breathtaking lie. The tension becomes a quiet, daily struggle. You are the immovable object. He is the irresistible force of legitimate succession. One of your most trusted ministers, a man who supported you for years, suggests to you that it might be time to return power to the emperor. You dismiss him in a fury, feeling betrayed. But the seed of doubt is planted. You are beginning to alienate your own allies. They see a regent clinging to power for too long, creating instability around the throne. The most bizarre, and perhaps saddest, part of this is that his real mother, Consort Li, is still alive, living in the palace. She is ill and nearing the end of her life. You, in a move of either calculated generosity or genuine guilt, elevate her to the rank of Consort Dowager, ensuring she will be taken care of. But you still keep the secret. You cannot allow mother and son to officially reunite. The political fallout would be catastrophic. The emperor visits the ailing Consort Li, seeing it as his duty to a respected elder of his father's harem, never realizing he is at his own mother's bedside.
Consort Li Díaz.
You arrange for her to be buried, but in a rushed and somewhat simple ceremony, not befitting her new rank. Some of your ministers protest, arguing for a grander burial. You refuse. It is a critical misstep, born of your desire to suppress the secret. You don't want too much attention on this woman. But your refusal looks petty and cruel, and it gives your opponents more ammunition. You have spent a lifetime building a reputation for wise and benevolent rule, and now, in this silent battle with your son, you see that reputation beginning to fray at the edges. You realize that by holding on, you risk losing not just your power, but the very legacy you worked so hard to build. The endgame is approaching. Judgment beyond the grave. The end, when it begins to arrive, does not announce itself with a thunderclap but with a quiet, pervasive chill. After the muted, rushed funeral of Consort Li, something in the palace air has permanently shifted. The silent battle between you and your son is over, not because of a surrender, but because of a shared, unspoken exhaustion. You see it in the way the ministers now look first to Emperor Zhao Zhan for a reaction before their eyes flicker towards your screen. You feel it in the deep, weary ache in your own bones. You have held the empire together for over a decade, but the strength required to hold on to power itself is a different, more corrosive force. The immovable object has begun to erode from within. You are growing ill. It is a sickness of the body, but also of the soul. The constant vigilance, the political maneuvering, the weight of a secret that could shatter the very foundation of your life's work, it has taken its toll. You realize that to cling to the regency any longer is not a show of strength, but a final, fatal weakness. It would tarnish the very legacy you are trying to protect. You did not claw your way up from the streets of Shu to be remembered as a stubborn old woman who refused to leave the stage. Your entire life has been a series of calculated risks and brilliant improvisations. It is time for one final, masterful performance, the graceful exit. You summon the Grand Counselors. You announce your intention to formally retire, to return all governing authority to the Emperor. There are no tears, no dramatic speeches. Your voice is as calm and measured as it has been for every state decree you have ever issued. Then, you face your son. You, who have hidden behind a screen for so long, order it to be removed. You look at the man on the throne. He is no longer the boy you placed there. You see a flicker of surprise in his eyes, then a complex wave of relief, suspicion, and a sorrow he does not yet understand. In a simple, clear ceremony, you hand over the imperial seal. The transfer is complete. Your regency is over. Your final years are quiet. You retreat to a residential palace, retaining the title of Empress Dowager. You are treated with the utmost formal respect, but the stream of officials seeking your counsel has dried up. The center of the world has shifted from your door to your son's. You watch from a distance as he rules, using the lessons you taught him, leaning on the stable government you built for him. There are moments of quiet, almost normal interaction. He visits you on feast days, inquiring after your health. The war is over. An unspoken, fragile peace settles. Perhaps, in these quiet moments, you finally see him not as your rival or the product of your greatest deception, but simply as your son. In the spring of the year 1033, you die. You are 64 years old. As you lie on your deathbed, the world fading, you are once again Liu Yi, the orphan from Shu. You have no true name, no bloodline, and the son who will mourn you is not your own. Your life has been a magnificent, audacious, and lonely performance. Now, the curtain falls. And with your last breath, the secrets you guarded so fiercely are finally set free. It does not take long. Now that you are gone, tongues are loosened. Old political rivals, members of the imperial clan who always resented your power, see their chance. They approach the emperor. They tell him the story. They tell him of a street singer from Shu, a silversmith's wife, a consort hidden away for 15 years. And then they deliver the final, devastating blow. They tell him that his true mother was not the great Empress Dowager Liu, but her humble attendant, the late consort Li. They point to the rushed, simple burial you gave her as proof of your guilt, a final act to suppress the truth. The emperor's grief turns to a cold, world-shattering rage. The mother he knew, the regent who shaped his world, was a liar. His entire life, his very identity, has been built on a fraud. He orders the palace sealed, his mind a whirlwind of betrayal. He is urged by some to posthumously strip you of all your titles, to declare you a usurper, to cast your family out, and to rebury his real mother with the honors you denied her. Your entire legacy hangs by a thread, at the mercy of the son you deceived. In his fury, he dispatches guards to surround the residence of your family, the Lius. He orders your coffin to be opened, to be judged. But then, he hesitates. One of his most senior ministers, a man who served you but now serves him, kneels before him. He does not defend your lie, but he asks the emperor to consider the truth of your reign. Did she rule justly? Did the empire prosper? Did she protect the throne for you when you were a child? Your Majesty, the minister says, must judge her not as a son judging his mother, but as an emperor judging his predecessor. The emperor stands before your coffin. He looks down at your face, peaceful in death. He remembers the voice from behind the screen, the voice that taught him governance, that held the world steady for him. He remembers the woman who wore a dragon robe, not to steal his throne, but to prove she was worthy of protecting it. He realizes the truth is more complex than a simple story of deceit. Your lie was the foundation, but what you built upon it was a golden age of stability. To tear you down would be to delegitimize the first decade of his own reign. To condemn you would be to condemn the peace and prosperity the people had known. Zhao Zhen makes his decision. He orders the guards to withdraw from the Liu family residence. He decrees that you will be buried with all the honors befitting an empress of the great song. He gives you a posthumous name that encapsulates your entire story. Zhongxian Mingsu, meaning the one who was illustrious and virtuous, perceptive and solemn. Later, he will rebury his biological mother, consort Li, with full honors as an Empress Dowager, finally giving her the recognition she was denied in life. But he does not condemn you. In this final, silent judgment, he offers you a ruler's pardon. He acknowledges the complexity, the controversy, and the undeniable success of your reign. Your secrets are revealed, but so is your wisdom. You are remembered not just as the woman who stole a son, but as the regent who saved an empire. And so your story ends, a tale whispered in the halls of power and on the lips of storytellers, a lesson in power, survival, and the profound, unsettling truth that history is rarely a simple song of heroes and villains. It is the story of a girl with a small drum, who, in the quiet of the night, we remember as the woman who ruled the world from behind a screen. And now, Let these millennia of past events, like a receding tide, slowly and gently withdraw from your thoughts. The clamor of that magnificent palace, the heavy weight of the dragon robe, the unfathomable gaze behind the silk screen, all have slowly faded with the passage of time, transforming into a faint wisp of smoke in the long river of history. All has settled into dust, all struggles, all secrets, now rest peacefully in the quiet glow of old papers. You can feel the contours of this story becoming blurred and soft in your mind, like an ink wash painting moistened by dew, where all lines begin to melt and all colors gradually blend into each other. The girl who once played a small drum on the streets of Shu, the Empress Dowager who ruled the world from behind a beaded screen, their figures are slowly receding, merging into a deeper and more tranquil background. At this moment, the only thing clearly audible is the steady, long rhythm of your own breathing. This sound becomes the sole rhythm in the room, guiding you towards a place free from turmoil, free from judgment. The story has ended. It has fulfilled its mission of accompanying you to the edge of this dream. Now, you can let go. Let all the plots scatter with the wind. In this gentle silence, fall peacefully asleep. Good night.